All right, Sean. How you doing, bro? Thank you for coming on my podcast. Uh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm Sean. Currently I'm studying industrial engineering at the University of Toronto. Chippy Java, that's basic introductions. Recently turned 21, which is pretty cool.
Damn.
I feel like you're kind of old, broke the 2 decades, but yeah, I'm happy to be on
Yeah,
this guy's opinion and talk a bit about myself.
sick, man, sick. If you should have told me you were having a dress code, bro, I should have dressed much better. Like this guy coming with the collar shirt and black, I would have I'm like here with a t-shirt, you know.
No,
I don't know if that's serious, but man, I'm glad to see that you want to
no.
add to the bit, you know.
Yeah, most of my clothes were in the laundry, so this is like one of the only things I
Hey,
could
I'm
wear.
rated. That's a good impression, you know.
Thanks, man.
So I know that you're a very organized person, like from middle school. When you first met, we met in in elementary, right? In Dunlace, and obviously we had the same classes until middle school. But I know like you were like a very methodical like organization guy, and I just want to like understand how do you like fine tune your work life balance?
Okay, first of all, I think organization wise, I like to think that I'm organized, but a lot of the time, I do like to go with the flow. Or if you see my pencil case back in like middle school, first of all, I was like always losing that, and I had everything in it. But yeah. Anywho, so work-life balance is a good question because honestly, unfortunate thing is like sometimes it's hard to like find the balance, right? Like especially like
Yeah, especially with like nowadays, with since you're in university, you have a lot of stuff on your
yeah,
plate, right?
university is like pretty tough, and even in like elementary school and like I think like just all the way up to high school before like we all like literally started locking in. Like there was like a lot of I would say like game time, and to kind of like have to like shuffle with that.
Right,
It was like pretty difficult to like
right.
actually find the time to like truly rest, I
Yeah, because like I
suppose.
feel like in middle school or in elementary, like your priorities back then were not to do the homework. Like obviously, like your parents
Yeah,
say
that's
you want to get the
true.
homework out of the way and do whatever we want. So that's like how we fine tune like under the guidance of my parents. Like I want to like have fun all the time. Like I don't want to like spend time learning a plus b or multiplication or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
quadratic formula, right? So like my strategy was like I get home, I just like finish all the homework I have in the first 2 hours. Like I get finished by 5 p.m. Then you either have dinner or like you just get on the game with your friends, right? So
Yeah.
like that's a good way I found my strategy because I feel like if you want to deal with your responsibilities first, there's a saying like you want to get the easy stuff done first or the hard stuff done first. Whatever it is, you want to get all stuff first, right? All the assignments, all the homework, all the questions that assign homework readings, your textbook, your
Yeah.
teacher has assigned
Yeah.
you, right? You want to get those out of the way. That way you have a peace of mind, like in the later of the day, to just hang out with your friends and do whatever you
Yeah.
want, right? So how do you go about doing that? Like, did you like? I mean, I feel like if we compare the amount of work back then to the amount of work we have now,
It's
obviously
gonna
now
be
it's a lot
like
more, right? But like
now it's a lot
back
more,
then,
yeah.
it's a foundation to like setting up
Yeah.
for our success. So how do you go about doing that?
Well, first of all, like it's like an age thing. Like when you're growing up, you'll start to like prioritize your like learning a lot better because you can see like more into the future and be like, okay, if I like rush my homework, yes, it's gonna be done. Yes, I'm gonna get the marks for it, blah blah blah. Did I actually like absorb the information? Will this help me for tests? Will this help me for like future projects or like even if you're going to work, right? Like I'm on like PEY right now and like a lot of stuff like okay, not a lot, but like it really depends. But some of my courses, wow, who knew, were actually like applicable to my job.
Right,
Like I'm
right.
working like front end right now and found that like when I studied about these like work cycles or these terminology, like different
What
like
specifically, like what course, or was it from like high school, or was it from
oh, this
university?
is from university.
Okay, so
So
like, what did you learn, and how did you like find it applying to your work stuff?
yeah. So I think one of the nice examples is I had this like software like development course, and so we designed like a software. We used GitHub. So these I were was relatively more familiar with, because like in high school, like
Yeah,
like Mr. K, Miss Marie, they were like giving us like a great foundation. But shout out to them. And so I found that was like a breeze. But the tricky part was like a lot of the conceptual stuff. For example, we memorized the entire like they call it the software like development cycle, and this required like you to know like where all of the components go in when developing a software. And so, for example, like you would have like a daily Scrum meeting, and if you say that to anyone who's not in like comp sci or like
what is a
engineering,
Scrum meeting?
what's Scrum? It sounds kind of
Scrummy, yeah.
like
it sounds like useless or whatever.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I'm sure that means a lot in your world. Like, what does that mean?
it literally just means like you have a meeting where you just quickly go over like your deliverables.
Oh, okay.
And like ideally you do it like daily, so like everyone knows what they're doing for the day.
Yeah.
And it literally is like 15 minutes long. And so like I thought that was a cool concept, and I've already seen that like at work we have like they call it like a developer stand up.
Yeah, that's true. Like when I worked at my first internship, like my company was a software company, right?
Yeah.
But like our client was a bank, so we were providing like all the software like services to the bank, right?
Yeah.
So we used to have like we call it like daily stand-ups, but it was not daily. It was like 3 times a week, so Monday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Friday, and it was like an hour long. And since I was a PCO, so like a project control officer intern, I was like I was assigned to that work by my boss, and then at the beginning, and it felt like a lot of overwhelming pressure because you're just like presenting like an Excel table to like to like a group of like 20, 30 people, right? And they're like executives, there's like designers, there's BAs, there's developers, and then you're just like the puny little intern there, like who has to like read off like
It
what's
really does feel like
yeah,
that.
it was a lot of stress, but at the beginning, but like obviously over time, like with the internships like work, like you want to make those connections, you want to make those relationships, right? So I got used to like doing the stand-ups, and I already know the people. I got to know the people, and it made it more easier because like when you actually learn about these stand-ups, what you're actually learning about is what projects the group has been assigned to, what is everyone's responsibility, and you go from there. Like you just like follow up on it. So let's say like you're on like working on project X. I'll be like, hey, what's your status on project X? Is this deliverable going to be met by end of week or end of day? Do you need any help? Like we can let us know if you need help. We can assign you some resources to help you out. That's just like a way to understand where you are with the project and how we as a team can help you finish or like get
Yeah.
right. So that's what we call daily stand-ups. But you were I think I cut you off, but
No.
you were saying something about like how you learned stuff from your course at university, and how did that apply to your job internship?
Yeah. So that was just like one of the examples. Another like really funny course was I had this like organizational design course, and although they made it like their marketing scheme was really strange, but other than that, I actually really enjoyed the course, and I think they taught like a lot of like really applicable stuff. Like for example, like I can kind of like quantify a bit or like explain like so you for example, you reached out to people in your organization, learned about what they're working on, learned about their responsibility, and I think that does like two things. Like one is like networking, so you're trying to like build relationships, right? But also in the future, like what this sets you up for is like potentially like being able to boost your visibility.
Right.
So given that like you know about their projects, you know what you're doing, right?
Right.
Maybe your project relates to their stuff and you can help them with it.
Yeah.
And if they're a higher up, then like you make a good impression.
And then you would also learn about the project workflow, like how many stages the project goes, right? Like obviously, like there's like different like industries or different workflows, but they're all like tied of like the foundation is to like how to understand that the project lifespan, like when you first start to the resource gathering to the end when you're finally delivering the project, right? So like, since you're from like a IT background, like I assume like your first internship was like about like what was the field again?
So my first internship, it was software. So I was working on like Backend.
Yeah. So what are some notable things you picked up on like working at the company you're working at, and would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So I will be honest. So this was like first year summer. So a lot of like the skills going into that like internship, it was a lot of like Python. I essentially wrote like Python backend, and the cool thing about my work is it was less like it had like a lot of moving parts, but none of them like in particular were super complicated. And I was working with this like PhD guy at the office, and he kind of made like really nice slides. So all I had to do was like automate what he was doing on the slide so we could put it in the app, right?
I see. So like the slides were like if you think about the Lego box, they were like a list of instructions.
It was literally a PowerPoint.
And then you just gotta build it together on the code.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That was pretty sick.
Man.
I'm not an IT guy, but what is the difference between front end and back end? Like I was hearing stuff.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So I guess I can start with front end because that's like usually what we like as end users will see. But essentially, front end deals with like designing like the interface. Although this is also related to like UX and like designers, but I think front end is like more of a general term where like you're trying to make the front of the app, the pages, the buttons, these different like scrollable things, and like browser dependencies, all that good stuff for the end user. That's your role. You're just trying to make the app like functional on like an interface level.
I see.
And so the back end is kind of more like the brains. Although like front end, you do need to like work with the back end to we have something called like an endpoint, for example, or like an API where you essentially call it to send or get information. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But backend just like they write like the backend logic. Sorry, they write the logic in which data is like processed, stored, or modifies like the user's like properties. So for example, like if you had a app like a McDonald's app, the backend would send like information to the specific location, and they have some type of architecture for that, and then they start making your food.
Okay, so like the front end, like for your McDonald's app, is like the customer like looking at the menu and picking the products they want, and then the back end is like sending that request from the app to the company or like the location, right, where they have to actually process the order. Like that's actually a real time like analogy. Would you say like that?
Yeah, I think that's yeah.
Okay, so what project like what are some big projects are like what was your biggest thing you learned from that internship working at the first company? Like what was the company again?
I was working at A Century,
Oh, okay.
specifically in their like same matrix
Right,
department.
right. So, yeah, my question. You go for it.
Yeah, no worries. So, sorry, it's been a little bit of a while.
No worries.
Thing I learned, I think one thing I learned, which was pretty nice, is like a lot of like apps, at least like for my internship, they're not gonna make you work on something like outrageously complicated. Like they have full-time people for this type of stuff, and a lot of the work they give to interns, to be honest, is kind of like,
Medial.
well, not menial, but it could be like very like manual or like very like even like I think exploratory like roles for interns is like
Okay.
really nice because essentially how I like to think about it is you're giving time back to the full-time people so they can work on like issues that the customers are having with the apps or like very like timely things, and you can like kind of explore or scout out a route. So for example, like we wanted to use for the first time ANSYS like mechanical as our like simulation platform within the app. So my backend, I essentially explored the API, which took forever because their website was kind of scuffed. And eventually, there's some really like weird workarounds I did, but it used mechanical, it used like space claim, like essentially that just means I had to like pipeline a bunch of different softwares, and like that would have taken like someone, a full-time developer, potentially just as long. So I just saved them like
I see. I see.
a lot of time.
I mean, I do relate with you. Like when you first when you like especially as your internship, like even as your first internship, like in a university like surrounding area, when you first show up, like you expect like, hey, I want to start working on like all the fun stuff. Like maybe like if you're like a business guy, you want to
Yeah.
work on the financials. If you're like a computer science guy, you want to work on the back end, like the code and stuff. Like how
Yeah.
does that work? But like obviously getting to that point, like yeah, there's some like foundation requirements, like you got to get a degree and go from there, right? But like
Yeah.
as an intern, like they'll probably give you some repetitive, like boring task, and then like obviously there's also like you want to earn the trust of your boss, so,
Yes.
like you want to prove your worth, and eventually when you do that, and you do that going through you attain that by doing these repetitive, meaningless tasks, but like it shows that you have the willpower to like actually like put when given a problem, you can actually solve it or do whatever you want, right? So from going from there and eventually attaining the trust, then you tend to understand like the project workflow, like I mentioned before, and also like if you make connections with your team members, right? And then eventually maybe you have an opportunity like one of these days to like they'll bring you along to like an important meeting. You sit down, listen
Yes.
in, right?
The meetings are great.
Yeah, meetings are great because like you just like a lot of like executives talking or like people talking about, and you have no idea what it is. But then you follow the slides, the content they're presenting, and you actually see there's a story being told, right? So like when you put all those bits and pieces together, eventually like that just like makes your internship experience much better, right?
Yeah, of course. Like one thing that everyone likes to talk about, like during interns, or if you have like a co-op coordinator, they will tell you this. They're just like, all right, obviously like do your work, but also make sure like you book like one-on-ones with like your manager, the people, your colleagues, and like even like coffee chats are great. Like so you get more than like because the point of an internship, like of course like you want to get like technical skills, blah blah blah. But another thing is you want to be able to like get to know the people at the company, get
Yeah,
to know like
just
how it
work on
works.
the soft skills.
Yeah, that's the stuff that school can't really teach you as well. Although my program specifically, they had a lot of guest speakers come in, which is really cool. Like some of them were from like logistics, and other people like they had like startups and stuff, which was like pretty crazy. And they were just like talking about and like kind of sometimes funny thing is they like disagree with the prof on stuff. Like org design once again. One guy, he came on like he had a startup like a medical startup, and the funniest thing was like we were all like interested in like more of the startup rather than like the organization itself. So like half the questions were like, oh, so like where do you get your idea from? Where do you get your funding from? Like how do you guys like collaborate, like communicate, like get things out? Like what skills did you need? And then the other question was like, how many layers does the organization have? How did you guys promote upwards voice? Do you guys use Zoom, emails? What's your favorite? I'm like,
Yeah.
big contrast. It was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
that's actually pretty sick. But like, was this internship like like the one you mentioned? Was that your first ever job you ever had, or was it not? Was that something else? Like, what was your first ever
Yeah,
job?
sure.
If that wasn't it.
So once again, like Asentry, I did like graphic design for them before, and so like when it came to like I told them like I can like do programming too. They're like okay,
Oh, cool.
and then like I guess that saved them a lot of time. But yeah, I started like graphic designing for them in like middle school, so that's like fun.
Yeah, like you actually worked for them in middle school.
Oh yeah, it was like fully like remote, but like I was just doing like some like commission. Yeah,
Wow, wow. And that was your first ever teen job, would you say?
I would consider that my first job. Yeah.
That's actually pretty good, man. Like my first ever job was just working at a tennis club,
No, that's sick, bro.
like you know, like teen jobs like lawn mowing or like being a lifeguard or whatever, right? Like mine was just like I got like I obviously I assume that you're like you had some help from your parents to get you that job, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing here. So like my dad,
love-
he worked at the tennis club. Like he was a member, but he got elected to the board of members. And then like one of the summers, like when I turned 16, because I think in like in Ontario you have to be like 16 to get paid, like like actually get paid from the job. You can't work like otherwise it's child labor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like when you first turn 16, you can actually get paid. So when I turned 16, and it was like the summer of like grade 11, I think. I think it's grade 10, grade 11. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But grade 11, and my dad was like, "Hey, you want to earn some money?" And I'm like, yeah, "Obviously, like you broke back then. You want to get some money. Like buy some food. Like, so in order to like buy some food with your
You're
friends.
talking about
like,
the computer, right?
yeah, or buy a computer or whatever, right? Like you have stuff you want to get, right? But you don't want to like use your parents' money or like I mentioned this in a previous episode, like
Yeah.
my computer story, right? But like getting that job like was 100% like the first job I ever had, but also like it taught me a lot of like work because obviously because when you first have a job, it's like a surreal experience because like oh I'm getting paid, I have to like.
Yeah.
Actually like mean like I'm working like it's not like homework that you gotta do you can just do another time you have to do stuff then and there right
Yep.
you have responsibilities to take care of and you're actually being independent right so like that's some skills you learn off
Yeah.
being in
You'll
the
be
first
lucky
job.
if you have like a flexible
Yeah,
schedule.
but was that my first fun job? No, it was my first job. My fun job was probably my second job. But when you were working your commissions for that graphic design, wasn't it actually pretty fun? Like, how did you like learn the skills required for that job?
So like I was okay. I would give like a little history of myself. So like when I was little, like I just loved video games, which meant that like I wanted to design them. And then at the beginning, I didn't know there were like big catalogs for like 3D models and stuff. So I just learned 3D modeling as well. And that kind of led to like, oh, I can just make like graphics and stuff. And I feel like I was using Blender, and I feel like the learning curve, like there is a learning curve, but if you're like passionate about it, then like it's like chill, because it's quite interesting. Like I remember this is a little technical, but I remember finding like UV wrapping for the first time, where you take like a shape, you unfold the entire shape, and you just put like an image, and then it like the computer just refolds it back for you.
I never heard of that before. You say UV wrapping?
Yeah, yeah.
So is this like okay? Maybe I might have heard of it, but like it's like you saying something about a shape. So like this is like show picture or something like a projector like type thing.
Like imagine like you take like a geometric shape, you cut it into its net, so it's like 2D now, right?
Okay.
And then you would like overlay it on top of an image,
Okay.
and then the computer essentially wraps it back together.
Oh.
And I'm like,
yeah.
this is like some of the coolest shit like I've ever seen. And keep in mind, I'm also in like middle school, so I'm like,
So that was your inspiration, like when you first working for a job. So what are stuff you did like produce, like stuff like that?
well, I mean, like hobby wise, like like tech specifically, like I also made like a bunch of games. I'm not gonna talk too much about them. They're like kind of old now.
Oh,
But
you actually made your game? That's pretty cool. Like you coded something
Yep.
and damn. I mean, that's pretty cool. Like what language did you use?
So Unity, like I use Unity and I use like Roblox Studio primarily. They're like I would say like the entrance game engines
Yeah.
because they're quite like nice. And so Unity uses like C sharp, so that's like C but like kind of looks like Java.
Yeah.
I think you'll get that a lot if you go on Reddit. And then Roblox Studio uses like Lua, which is almost Python but like with more words.
Yeah.
Man, I'm giving these languages like slanted now, but they're like actually like really nice, and so like yeah, you just I would say like game engine wise, it doesn't matter like the language too much. The biggest thing is like what capabilities you get, and so difference between Roblox Studio and Unity was like I went from Unity to Roblox Studio because I gained the foundation. Plus, I wanted to make something making something networked, and Unity at the time, they didn't have that good of a framework going. I was also considering like Unreal Engine, but like that was like a little like complicated for me back then. So
Right.
like I chose like the easier, like simpler option.
Yeah. And like what was the game you made? Like what was the like how did people, like, if people were to like play the game, what would they do, you know?
I think the two notable ones would be I made like this like slime platformer game for like at Dunlace. Wait, sorry, it was at Winfield, like middle school. Yeah, yeah. So this one you would like play a platformer and you can split slimes. And then,
Oh.
like when they got too close together, they'll merge back together. So you
Oh.
have 3 stages.
Well, that's it like sells that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
then there'd
sick.
be like a boss at the end. Hey, maybe you can even put it in like the link if anyone wants to.
For sure.
Sound is very disturbing. I personally made the sound effect, the squish sound effect. See my mouth. And the second one, I actually worked on this with Aiden. So it's like a strategy game. It might be a bit broken, but like it's like a tile-based like strategy game, and you just like get resources, and I think it plays up to 4 players though. Like it's still like very broken.
Yeah,
Not sure if
obviously,
it works
obviously.
fully.
Well, that's pretty sick. That's pretty sick because like I would say my first ever coding experience was through like gaming wise. It was through like school, right? Like I never like I'm not going to offend you, but like I didn't really have a passion towards like coding and all that.
No, that's fair. Not everyone does.
Yeah, but like it was pretty cool because I remember in when you first introduced to coding, it was like Lego robotics and like Dunlace.
That was it. Yo, that was an awesome
Yeah, I
introduction.
joined the Lego club or like whatever they called it back then, and basically like, you use like C++.
Dude, I'm jealous.
and they like remember Mr. Callisis? I think he was one of the leaders, but like there was like this obstacle Lego course, and you build the Lego like obstacles, but there's also like the Vex robotic, you know the Vex robot, like the one with wheels and whatever. That actually requires the code to
You guys
program
had
it.
Vex in Dunlace?
Yeah,
I
there
thought
was
that was only at high school.
no, they use Vex for like because it was like a Lego league. Apparently, like each elementary school like in TDSP they had their own like Lego club, and then like they'll compete. I'll tell you, but like
Dude.
so we have to build like this like obstacle course on like a table, right? And then they give you the Vex robot, and then you have to like code the robot to pick items up or like put stuff in the back, like move stuff around. And obviously you
in
want
the
to be
back?
very efficient because it's like a timed event. Like if you go to like the Lego League competition, like they put your robot and then you just press start and it goes about doing its own thing. And you want to make sure it's very efficient and like like making those sharp turns and like picking those stuff out very
Yeah.
fast. So that was the objective. So that was my first experience of coding. Like I think I used like the very beginner entry level code like C plus or whatever, right? C I assume. but you code the C from the computer, you upload it to the next robot, and then
Yeah.
you'll see it
For
go through the thing.
context, C is not a beginner language. That's like,
What was it was very friendly. I don't remember.
oh, was
I don't think it was.
was it block code or was it like
No,
actual
it was
code?
actual code. It was not.
Oh.
It was not. It was not like Scratch. Maybe it was like C or C sharp. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, those are good like production ready languages. Like as long as it's not like block code, it's like already like pretty good.
Yeah. So that was the first ever coding experience, and I had a lot of fun. Obviously, because I
Yeah.
love Legos as a kid. Like I love building
Oh,
Lego
yeah,
stuff.
same, bro.
Yeah, even though they're pretty expensive, you know. But like that,
Say that
like
again.
getting a Lego box from like Walmart like once a year, a couple months, you know, like once every couple months was truly a dream for me. And then like actually doing something like recode things out and putting it into like a robot and seeing it do its own thing. That's like another thing, right? So that was my first journey to like coding, and then like obviously in like in middle school we went to like HTML coding, like we coded like a website using
I
HTML.
remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Like in Mr. Brown's class or like
Yeah, Mr. Brown's
yeah,
class,
and then
yeah.
like yeah, in high school like notably like even though we went to different high schools, I still took like some computer science classes, and then like we went from like a text based story environment, like you have to like it was like all text, and we used like I forgot the name.
Processing?
I forgot the language. We use Turing, if you know what that is. It's like a 2D. It's not even 2D. There's no graphics. It's just a text, and it's like a text story. And then you have to like map. Like obviously you have a framework, but like you have to like be like, hey, you want to turn left, and then you put left, and then it goes there, and then
Oh.
have objectives. That was like a mid game. Like I didn't personally like it because there's no graphics, but like in like my final project for like my high school was we used like PyCharm, and basically it's like
Yep.
3D graphics Python, right? And then
3 graphics.
so we coded our final assignment was to like do like a game, like code a game using the client, which is PyCharm, and my game was like, you know, T-Rex run, right?
Wait, is this in high school?
Yeah, in high school.
Okay, okay. I remember you went to a different high school.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like
yeah.
so
I was like, that's
confused.
what I
I'm like,
said.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. No,
So,
that
like,
makes sense. That makes
in,
sense.
in my high school, like we had a STEM program, so they were like doing STEM stuff. So like my commenting game, like I mentioned, you had to like make like a 3D game, whatever, and you had to submit it for like approval, see if it's good, you get 100%, right? So like if everything works out, the game is like complete, you're able to like play the game, complete it, you get 100%. So I kind
yeah.
of stole my idea because people like steal ideas, and you can't really make a game like them like yourself, right? So like my game was like you know, you've heard of T-Rex run, right? So like
Yeah,
when
like-
you have no Wi-Fi,
yeah, yeah.
you just press the space bar. It's just like I think they built it for people who don't have Wi-Fi and they just want to spend their time doing something, right? So like it's like a very straightforward game. Like you just like the object seems like moving, but it's actually stationary,
Yep.
and then the environment just comes to it, right? So like that was my game. So but instead of like a T-Rex, it was like a space shuttle, and then like you have asteroids.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like that was my game, and that took a lot of time because like, but it was actually pretty fun because you actually had to draw out the entire space thing onto like another platform, export it onto the game, code everything, make sure there's like I forgot the name. Like if you're making a game, you have like a field. Like if you have collisions, it has to detect
Oh
the
yeah,
field.
collision detection.
Yeah, collision
that
detection,
was a
right?
big thing for me in high
Yeah,
school.
you had
as
to
well.
like work that out. That was like a huge headache, you know. And then
Yeah.
and then you have a point system, and then you have WASD.
Yep.
There's just so much stuff to incorporate.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was like a fun learning platform. But yeah, that was my journey of high school.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. How about for you? Like, did you do anything like notable in like high school or something?
I think there's like two main, project wise, like obviously we have like school assignments, yada yada yada. I'd say like the two like technical projects that I really liked from high school. So one, I forgot which one came out first. I think, okay, I remade like Plants vs Zombies and like processing, and like it's like laggy as fuck, but like it was fun because it was just like a lot of like coding, and I had like a lot of features. For example, like I remember coding up like the Zamboni, and it was like it moves across the screen, and then like the ice, like I coded to like move back from the screen, and then like it was just like a lot of things. And then when I added that, I was just like, oh my god, I need the spike weeds as well. So I had to add that, and then I added the upgraded version, and then like all the interfaces and everything. I think like, yeah, I'm glad my teammate, he helped me with the presentation.
Did you actually work out like the sunflower system? Like
Yes.
that's like that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty hard. Like I would assume that it took a lot of time, but like That's actually pretty impressive.
And because I didn't know about Python objects back then, everything was coded with a dictionary. So every entity, I had a function that deep cloned. Deep clone basically means you clone everything, every single thing in a collection. So like it's like a dictionary of a dictionary. You put in a new space of memory. So I had to like clone up every single plant, and I also had this like frame system, which essentially meant that like it would read a file and have like an entire like fully animated like sprite sheet for each plant that I ripped off of like YouTube. And so like it looked so good, but like oh my god, it was running at like 10 FPS.
Was it because the engine was overloaded or like used a lot of memory?
It's probably between like okay, first of all, processing is not that like performance good. Like okay, okay, I don't know why I came out later. Its performance can be questionable, especially like I think the garbage collection that I put in was also like really bad, which essentially means like there's like a lot of okay. I'm trying not to use like
No, let's just be like straight up. Like
there's like a lot of resources that are just like being taken up that don't need to be taken up, and yeah, that's the best way I could put it. And also, it was just like when I rescaled it, I don't think I actually rescaled the image. I think I just shrank it, so it was still trying to render out like every like HD image every frame, which is a lot for like 100 things. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, man. I'm glad to hear that story, and I feel like that's also like a foundation, like what you're doing into now, right? Like you took those frameworks or like lessons, right, into your new like profession or like your internship, your job, your school, whatever, right?
I think that project helped a lot.
Yeah, because like you learn about like a lot of problems you went through and like how to like overcome them, and then you use that to now, right? Because like I've seen like your like Instagram stories, LinkedIn's like you're always like a hackathon or like doing something fun, like
Sure.
like that school is like more fun, like when you have like an actual like thing going, like obviously you have social connections, and then you actually have stuff to do like interest the entire group, right?
Yeah.
So to be fair, I might seem dumb, but I've never been to a hackathon, and like my version
Well,
of
you're in
hackathon.
business. You don't need to.
No, I know, but like I think it's fun because like I heard of the term and like I seen it passed around. And like I think of a hackathon, like I think like a Matrix type thing. You go and hack people into like NASA or whatever. But like, what is like a hackathon? Like, and what are some stuff you've done like in a hackathon? Because I know it's like a timed like 24-hour event, right?
Yeah, sure. I think first of all, I'd just like to put like a shout out to Mike. So Mike actually got me into hackathons.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah. So like it was in middle school. He was just like, "Yo, Sean, do you want to apply to like Hack the North?" Just like the biggest hackathon in Canada, and then like we both applied. And so like I'd just give like a brief rundown on what a hackathon is. So it's like a large event, usually held by like a university or like an organization, or sometimes it can even be fully remote. They just sign up with like through dev posts, like Major League Hacking, all that good stuff. Maybe even get some sponsors. Oh yeah, sponsors. So hackathons are funded by sponsors, which are usually like companies within tech, or even like a lot of the times like banks. Up to like RBC like sponsors like so many hackathons. But like not like mentioning them specifically, but I just know like at Hack the North, usually they're like a gold sponsor. They're just like all flashy. So yeah, the more money you pay, the more the company gets like but sorry, I'm going on a tangent here.
No worries.
So let's talk about the actual hacking. So first of all, you're not actually hacking. Hack is just a general term used for like...
You're not getting yourself on the FBI most wanted done.
Yes, you're not. You're definitely not. It's just like a cool term for like hacking, as in like you're just trying to hack. Oh, I can even say this. You're trying to hack something together, right? Like very quickly, like a quick prototype, like just trying to like make something work. And nowadays, I noticed that the bar has risen a lot because of AI, like especially in terms of like your digital apps, your web apps, these things. The bar has risen because you can just kind of like vibe code features in, and so now they expect a lot more because now everyone is able to do a lot more, which is actually really cool. But like hardware. So like usually like I would categorize like two main types of projects. You can go for like, or you can do a mix too, but it's kind of like, or some of them are also like hybrid. But I've noticed there's like you can make like a web app, you can make like a hardware, hardware project. These are cool. Like you can do like Arduino or other type of like Raspberry Pi or these type of projects. And then you can even do like a mix, which I think are usually like the most like, at least for me personally, like the most, oh shoot,
You good?
most like interesting, right? And I think yeah, so I went to like Hack the North like a few times, and I've enjoyed it, and I think oh yeah, I should probably mention groups as well. This is so disorganized,
Yeah,
but
you're good. I think
that's
I got the framework.
also what hackathons are. Very disorganized. Schedules can sometimes go a bit crazy. You'll be staying up late, and you'll usually be working with, let's say, at most 3 other people for.
Is it like random people or people you pick?
Here's the fun thing: you can choose.
Okay.
You can even like a lot of people they go with like one friend, and then they group with like 2 other people.
I see.
That's also pretty common.
And like, what's the time frame you're working with usually?
That depends on the hackathon you go to. So some hackathons are only a day long. Hack the North specifically is like a weekend, so you get like Friday night, and then you get like Saturday and Sunday. But like Sunday, you don't get the entire day, so it's literally more like 2 days. But you get the entire Saturday.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's like time wise. So that's why you see people are like staying up so late
I see.
because you really have to like push the amount of waking hours and development time that like.
And like, what are you like trying to develop? Like, do they give you like a problem statement and you want to like code something into that, or you do be like, hey, just impress us?
It's the cool part as well. There are like prompt-based hackathons, and there's also like, like given
use your imagination.
yeah, like free hackathons
Okay.
in terms of like free ideas. There's also hackathons that do like a bit of both. So for example, well, this is going to get a little specific, but generally speaking, hackathons, they have a general prize. So, and they have like specific prizes. So a company might want, let's say I'm like company A, I have this API, I'm trying to get developers to use it. Can you put that in your project? I will literally give you money if you do a good job. Okay, obviously don't put it like that, but like, yeah, you could win like a few $100 if you do a good job. Pretty crazy. Win merch. You could win like, like I think U of T hacks. They won like Nintendo. Wait, that wasn't a specific company. Dude, actually, wait. They were giving out like internships, bro, as prizes.
Wow.
Absolutely crazy.
That's sick. That is sick. And like, so for you specifically, like you mentioned you went to like Hack the North, a lot of hackathons. Like, what was like your notable one? And like, what was the prompt, or like, was there like a question or whatever? And like, what was your product? Like, what did you deliver?
Yeah, sure. Let's see, which one do I? Actually, I'll do this. I'll talk about my most recent hackathon and my first hackathon.
Sure.
I think they contrast really well.
Yeah, 100%.
So the first time I went to like Hack the North, and this was interesting because I essentially chose to be like paired with like 3 like random people. One guy wasn't even from Canada. He was like from Florida, which is pretty cute. He got all paid like to fly.
Oh,
in.
he flew in?
Yeah,
I thought he was like,
but it was like covered for him.
Oh,
it's
damn.
pretty crazy. And so we worked on this. We called it. Let me think. I think it was called like Traveler. It was like a Tinder app, but for traveling. And so like what happened was like I think the thing that really got us was 1, there was no AI at the time, and 2, the framework that one of the guys tries to pick for like the swiping and like the overall app architecture was made in Swift. And if any of you guys know about Swift, it's like Mac only, like OS only. So we all had Windows. He was the only one with a Mac.
Wow.
So like we couldn't, like it felt bad. Like I could only like do a bit of like graphic design, maybe work on like something called like, they call it dev post, which is essentially like information page for your project. Easiest way to put that. And so that wasn't like super enjoyable because I was just cooped up. I didn't really talk to anyone, and
Right.
like, yeah. And then we just got like a half like baked product that
it wasn't even
didn't work.
finished?
Yeah, it low key was not finished because like he's like a one-man army
one-man
already,
army.
but like it wasn't enough time.
Right.
And so like what I learned from that was like organization's sake, please talk to your team beforehand. Okay, unless you're like really, really cracked, but like please talk to your team beforehand. Come up with an idea beforehand. One guy even left the team because he didn't like the idea.
Wow.
Like, it was very cooked.
Seriously unfortunate events.
yeah, exactly. Like, but yeah, please communicate with your team before the event, and ideally come up with the idea before the event.
Okay.
see what API prizes
Right.
you want to go with. So that contrasts like really well with the most recent hackathon I went to. It was the UFT hacks, and so at this hackathon, my team actually managed to get like an API prize because they were very cracked, but we also like coordinated really well, and we managed to like build this this app that helps with like networking. And so I think it was very flashy. It was a lot of vibe code, but at the same time we had to debug a lot of stuff. We had like an audio transcription feature.
What was the product?
Oh yeah, sorry. So we made a project called like Badge.
Okay.
The analogy here is like you bring a badge to an event. So instead of like having badges, you can just use our app instead to just know who's coming.
Oh, wait. So like, if I was a customer, I would download the app, and like, let's say I'm going to like a security event. I put my badge onto the app, and then like the host would know I'm coming based on that.
Sort of, but we more focused on the implication. We don't have an actual badge feature, but like we focus on the implication of like you'd be able to see who else will be there, which companies will be there, what type of like things they're looking for, what type of like things they're like wanting to discuss. Similar to like this this podcast episode, we obviously communicated. We let each other know like, hey, like roughly like what we want to like talk about, like how we want to get to know each other, right? And so like more deeply. And so we kind of went for like a similar thing where we want companies to be able to say like, okay, we want like, let's say people that are working in AI. We want to talk about X, Y, Z. We're looking for these skills. So people that are coming to the event, they can prepare. Obviously, small talk, all good, but you can very quickly skip the small talk and actually get to like why you're networking with them in the first place. And
I
we
see.
optimize it like that, I
I
suppose.
see. And how did the final product look? Like, how did
Oh,
it?
it was good. We'll see. You could put it in the description of the
Sure,
video
I could, yeah.
because it might still be up. I low-key don't know if it's up
But you said
anymore.
you won a prize. Like,
Yeah,
that's
so we won a prize for like best use of like Snowflake. It was like it's a vectorized like AI database, and so essentially what we did was we tried like we like vectorized each user based on like some of their factors, and then did that to like match them. So in other words, like we try to make like because I don't know if it was fully baked, but like the idea was there, like on demand like matchmaking for like attendees, which is pretty cool.
that's pretty sick, man. How long ago was this? Like, what?
It was like earlier this year.
Oh, wow. And like, ever since you started hackathons, like, you do like one every year, like, knock one out, you know?
I think like yeah, generally I try to do like at least like one or two.
And like, these are the things that people could put on their resume and be like, hey, I
Yeah,
did
for
like
sure.
a hackathon, these are my products.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know obviously, like, I have some friends like in a computer science environment, and then like obviously like they're into like GitHub, like they're into
Yeah.
like these projects, like, you know, like I myself was like a business student, like I don't know what you guys on your put on your resume apart from your internships. Like for me, like for like a business standpoint, like obviously like you have your name, and then you have your skills, right? Your personal and then in like business classes, you talk about this accounting project you put in, or like what are some qualities. Like business is like a relationship between soft skills and actually application. If you think about it, because like half the time you're trying to build a relationship with your client, and the other half is actually trying to like solve your client's problems, right?
I actually do have a question about that then. So in your opinion, what's the difference between like pure business and something like consulting, for example?
Consulting is all contracted, right? So like when you're applying to a consulting job, like you put in a contract, you're given your problem statements, like your procedures, and you're given your team, right? And then like you're trying to like work as a team to like produce this product, right? But like it's pure business, like there's so many fields. There's like marketing, there's
That's true.
finance, there's accounting, right? There's HR, there's risk. There's so many fields, and each field has its own nits and bits, right? Me specifically, I'm into like the finance field, but like I'm doing stats on the side. So I'm trying to aim myself towards like investment banking, like stocks, options, whatever, right? So like for me to work in that field, I need to have a rigorous knowledge of statistics, because like I'm sure you've heard of like I give you like a nice story about like there's like a couple of movies on this, but like I'm sure you've heard of the 2008 financial crisis, right? So like basically that's like the Great Depression, not the Great Depression, but like a very good recession for your parents' generation or even our generation because we were born in '05, right? But basically, what happened then was like the North American U.S. housing market was a bubble, and what a bubble is, they call it a bubble because it eventually grows big to a point where it pops,
Yeah.
and then that's when the recession happened. So like people were not making people were defaulting on their mortgage payments, houses being foreclosed, and then people like the huge banks were investing in these mortgage bonds because it's when people when the in terms of risk it was the least risk full thing asset to invest in because people would pay for their
I've heard about that.
mortgage,
In
right?
bad times of economy, like bonds will go up and stocks like bond purchasing
Yeah, so
will
like
go
all
up.
these like investment banks, they were trying to get their clients to invest into this mortgage options, bonds, whatever you call it, right? Assets. And the reason why, like when you invest into an asset, you evaluate your risk. Like
Yep.
pretend you're choosing a product A, a product B, right? Product A might be a startup company, and they just started like they're working in mining, for example,
We
right?
call that like systematic risk,
Yeah, and
right?
then like, would you want to put like $1 million in it? Like, what's your return of ROI, right? Return of interest. Like, what's the risk and how much money you can put and how like how fast can I get the money back? So like in terms of risk, mortgage options was very least risk thing back
Yeah.
in the day because people if people don't make payments on their house, they lose their house. That's the saying, right? Like because if you don't make your loan payment, your house gets foreclosed, and eventually people like started buying a lot of properties. Banks were approving anyone, but no credit history, and eventually the bubbles grew
Uh-oh.
big, and eventually popped. And
Because they couldn't pay their
yeah,
mortgage. Yeah, okay.
so like, well, some smart people kind of saw this coming. So what people like you do for money, like unfortunately, it's unethical, but they like to bet against the market. So like that means like when the
Oh,
stock
it's
goes
like
down,
shorting.
yeah, shorting.
Okay.
So like when something goes down, they get money, like
Yep.
they go up, right? So like there's this like very famous like stock like movie. I think
The
it's
Big
The
Short.
Big Short,
Oh my god.
right?
I actually haven't watched it though.
You should take a
I
watch.
should probably watch it.
Yeah, like the finance movies out of the finance movies, like The Wolf of Wall Street, The
Oh,
Big
I
Short.
watched, bro. That one's
Yeah,
crazy, bro.
yeah, The Big Short,
Big
and there's
Short.
multiple more too, right? Like if you watch like that movie, like that'll probably explain the entire like story. But what I'm getting to is that was the start of quantitative trading, because what the guy figured out, he used statistics and he looked at a lot of data variables into a spreadsheet, and using that risks or whatever. Like I haven't learned the concept yet, but I'm going to try to theorize it for you. Using all those concepts, he was able to figure out like people were going to default on their mortgage payments eventually, and this was like back in like 2006. So like this was like he predicted this 2 years before the market could even crash.
So you can prepare for it.
Right.
That's that's amazing.
Like eventually he was a hedge fund manager, and like he took like everyone's money and like
You
he wanted to
short it.
short the mortgage market, right? But even back then, like he went to a big bank. Like no one was selling swaps for mortgage. Like no one was selling shortage for mortgage
Yeah.
because it was a very reliable asset, right? So people were looking at him like he's an
You're like,
idiot.
okay, dumbass.
Yeah, like in the movie, they're like, yeah, sure, we can do this for you, and then they're laughing in their back, right? Like, yeah, mortgage about it's not going to go down. Like this guy's just throwing money away, but the banks will take your money, right? So he eventually like made like billions when the market crashed, like
Jesus.
billions of dollars. And obviously, like when you predict stuff like 2 years before, like people lose kind of like trust in you because they're like, hey, you put my money into on your bet. I'm going to invest like all this money I have onto your only bet that the biggest thing in the world could come crashing. Like,
Yeah.
right? So like, eventually, like I mentioned, that's how like businesses like especially
Yeah.
for investment banking, like 50% of it or every like majority of it is like establishing that trust between your client, and then the remaining is like actually showing like your results right on paper. So that's what I'm trying to gear myself into, like statistics and like financial background for your investments.
I think nowadays, like at least like free market should be like relatively like especially like you said the quantitative trading like it should be like way more balanced now.
Yeah, because like they've established guidelines. Every major investment bank has picked up quantitative traders, and then that's their foundation now. They want to make safe, justifiable investments, right? In order to avoid something like 2008 happening again,
Yes.
right? Like obviously nowadays you've seen recession, like not like recessions, like slight go like market downs because of like politics, like world stuff, whatever, some wars going on, right? Like the
Yep.
market goes down, but that's not as big as like the housing market collapsing, right? So
That's pretty bad.
yeah. And so that's my thing to do. But I wanted to get into another thing. Like a lot of in my previous podcast episode, we discussed about like a lot of teenagers nowadays. Like they have a lot of issues with attention span or whatever. And
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I feel like you're a good candidate to talk about too, is about
Thanks.
like the importance of setting up goals, like setting up foundational requirements. Like, hey, I want to achieve this by so and so a date, and yeah. So how do you go about doing that? Like, I know you wanted to talk about goal setting and self improvement.
Yeah, so I would first say this. Like, I'm not like a perfect person. Like, I don't want to come off like that. And I think like I'm trying to like address like a lot of like issues or things that like me personally, like if you ever like, I don't know, sat by yourself, right? You can think like, like there's like negative things you might think about yourself. And some of those like you can't change, but some of those like I feel like you can address. And so like one of the first things with me is like first of all I get this right off the back. Like for example, like I'm still like pretty bad at Chinese. I'll be completely honest. Like when I was little, I'm gonna be like I was kind of like an iPad kid, quote unquote, and like I don't know, I didn't like languages, and then now I don't regret anything because with the information I had back then and my personality, it made more sense for me to explore like let's say technology or like coding these topics that I enjoyed, and then like back then so and so, but now I'm realizing like for me to like for example connect with a lot of people or connect with like a lot of like family members, it would be really nice if I could at least like have conversational like level with them,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so the first thing I noticed was like even like university, like I was like I was like kind of addicted to Instagram. And with me, like my personality, it's like when I find something I enjoy, I get like really focused into it, which is good for some things. But like in terms of like doom scrolling wise, it's actually really bad because like it could easily eat up like an hour or two
Yeah.
and it wouldn't even feel like it, right? And the worst thing is you can't stop.
It's just like instant dopamine, and then
Yes.
like reality, you get that instant like moments of satisfaction, but like
Yeah.
in the long run, your attention span just goes down. Like you can't even pay attention for 2 hour
Not
movie.
even that. It's like lost time. That's
100%.
like for me at least, like that's arguably like personally like more important. Like
Right. And and you mentioned like using that as like the doom scrolling part. That was the reason why you started setting up goals for success.
well, for one is like I would say like the goal came first, and then I realized that doom scrolling was a big obstacle. So like I guess the first like theme I found was like one thing is like okay, so a lot of people say this like oh like use your willpower, just don't do it, right? That only works to like some extent, and a lot of the time it can be difficult to do. And so like what I found was like another thing you can try to work around that is like still like I think a lot of apps also help with this too, but like still give yourself access to like these platforms, but like make it like inconvenient so that you're like not as tuned to doing it. So for example with me like shout out to like Screen Zen. Doing so many shout outs today, but
Oh
like
yeah.
I put like a 30-second timer on Instagram, and now like unless I really want to watch a reel for 5 minutes before it locks again, I have to wait 30 seconds. And
Wow.
so it breaks up the viewing time so I don't like fall into the same
It's
pits.
like a reminder, like get off.
Yeah. And like if you really need it, right?
Yeah.
You can wait the 30 seconds.
No, I feel like that's a very good idea. Like for me, like I know like doom scrolling was a big thing. Like and it is a big thing, big problem I had, and I still have for sure. But like when out back in like prime of COVID, like with the rise of TikTok and whatever,
Yep.
like people were on their phones constantly, right? So like I see my screen time hours go up from like 2 hours, like 6 hours in a day, right?
Whoa,
Just
yeah,
doom
that's
scrolling and like doing whatever, right? Especially I
yeah.
didn't have a computer back then, but now I know like obviously I know it just eats up a lot of time that could be used for like doing homework or whatever. And then
Yep.
like recently I started like a couple like not a couple months ago, like 6 months ago, I put like a thing on my like phone, like you can limit the screen time usage to like
That's
an
smart.
hour, right? So like
Yeah.
I like after an hour you just like locks you out of the thing.
Yep.
But like this like 30-second thing I never heard of before, and that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that did that kind of helped you like combat your
Yeah.
doom scrolling thing?
And then with that, another nice theme is block all your outlets as well. So for example, I put that on my phone. I started watching Reels on my computer. And so I
Yeah.
put another block on my browser. And then I started using my other browser, and
Yeah.
then I put a block on that. So it's kind of like I'm kind of like fighting it,
Yeah.
making it just like as like inconvenient as
It's just
possible.
like when you have free will, because once you don't have your phone, you can use your tablet or you can use your watch.
Yeah,
or you
like
can,
you,
it's
your
just like,
body will naturally figure it out, and once you build that pathway, you kind of have to like, if you don't like it, you kind of have to block it off.
yeah, you have to have the willpower to restrict everything. Like means no for everything, right? Like screen wide, platform wide, like that's just like you mentioned, like how you went from one to another. Eventually, you'll find like a thing that settles for all. But like going through that process, like reveals like how addicted you are, unfortunately, to like doom scrolling. Yeah. Well, I feel like we have a good stuff going on so far. But would you like to take a break?
Yeah, I think that sounds
All
good.
right. Awesome.
Cool.
All right, man. We're back. Thanks, Sean, for the Gatorade, and
Oh yeah.
that was a much needed break. We talked a long time, and I love hearing your stories.
Thanks, man. I like hearing about you too, man. Like, so far it's been awesome. So like, there's one thing I kind of wanted to chat about. Like, how do you feel about, let's say, like, your place in like an organization, and do you feel like you have a lot of like, put simply, like, responsibility or like influence in like what type of the things you're doing and
Okay, like
projects you get to work on?
I could like help you out here. I could be like I could categorize organization. Like I assume you're referring to organization like as a job, maybe. But like
Yep.
I could categorize. I think for me, there's like three different organizations so far. One is like friends and family. So like at home, like how do I like
Oh, that's a
influence
good
them?
point.
right?
Yeah, not even like.
Second is at school,
yeah.
right? And the third is obviously at the job, right? So like obviously I'm not working now. I'm at a school. I'm studying at school for the summer, and obviously I live with my parents. So like you mentioned about like influence. Like what was the question again?
Well, I guess it was more like just like how much like I guess freedom do you feel, or like how do you feel like you fit within like these different like
Okay,
places?
like obviously at home I fit like at home. Like it's my place.
Good.
I've been living with my parents since I was born. I have a sister, my mom and my dad, and like obviously like we have like all our family stuff. Like we have arguments, we have agreements.
Yeah.
Like like the
Know
stuff as a
about
family,
those.
right? Like conversations, whatever, right? I'm pretty comfortable there. I would say like I would have some influence over my sister because I'm the older sibling and she's the younger one, so she tends to do some stuff. Like I try to like guide her in the right path.
Does she look up to you at all?
Yeah, here and there, but she appreciates it in her deep inside,
Aw.
right? So she may not show it, but she's pretty appreciative. At school, really like in terms of like influence, probably not because like I just go into school. My main strategy at school, as a commuter student, is that I go into school, I finish my classes, and the moment like the first minute finishes, the class is over, go home. So like unfortunately, like you might have heard, like I go to UT Scarborough, and at Scarborough they're known as a commuter campus because like most of the
Ooh.
students there are either commute or international students, unfortunately. So most of the crowd they're not really like social, like I would
You
say,
mean
but
unfortunately like there's like a big like difference
yes,
between, and it's
like
harder to connect.
yeah, especially because we have a huge international student community, and then they usually like hang out in their own groups.
I've noticed that at U of T as well, which to be fair, like if you do go to like another country, right, you are gonna be looking for people like,
Similar to you.
yeah.
Yeah. So like they like to hang out in their own groups, and obviously I met friends through like clubs and like teams and whatever. But like when I see the occasional like person I know, I say hi and I go on my way, right? So that's my strategy at school. So I don't have much influence there, right? Otherwise, like the only time I would have influence is like when I'm on like a team, like we're playing a game, like hey, pass the ball or like pass the disc or like go up and I want to throw it to you, right? That's like a teamwork thing. And at work, like I worked an 8-month co-op since like May to December last year. And when I first started up, I was like me and my other like I was put into like a group of 4 interns, and we were all working for the same like team.
Oh, dude,
So we
that's
would see the
sick.
same people every single day. Like collaborate, communicate, contribute with them, right? So over time, like as a PCO, my influence grew because I had to oversee workflows, like I mentioned before, and
So you take on more responsibility
yes,
and then they trust you.
Yeah, and
Okay, like
because
give
like
take.
they relied on me to like organize their workflows or like their not their meetings per se, but like their projects and like track their results, right? And I've also contributed to some projects here and there, obviously like some big ones. So yeah, that's I would say I don't know how would like quantify influence. Like is it like a scale of 1 to 10 are you talking about, or like what are you specifically getting to?
I'm not even sure. Like, for example, like let's say like put simply, like you're in a friend group, right? And let's say you really want to watch a movie, for example. Like if you suggest a movie, let's say I want to go with movie A again, right? Like how likely do you think it's going to be that you can, I guess, convince everyone that, yeah, this movie is a good movie.
Influence them?
I think we should go, type thing.
Yeah, I would say like that's definitely up to like okay, there's different friend groups. There's like friend groups who have a group leader, and everyone like is a yes man, right? Like you don't want to upset the group leader.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that in the wild. Unfortunately, I'm not in a friend group like that, but like I've seen those in the wild, and it's really like a hit or miss for the people in the group because I don't. Most of the time, they're always trying to suck it up to the leader,
Yeah.
right? And I don't really see quite the benefits you get from that. But the other friend group is where everyone like obviously has an opinion, and then they're like, I feel like as a democracy, like majority wins, right? So
Yeah.
like if you want to see movie X over movie Y, and you have 8 people, 5 out of the 8 people says X. Usually the remaining 3 will also agree and say, hey, you know what? Let's go see X. Might as well
Yeah.
because like most of the group wants to go see.
Yeah. I know in that case, like sometimes you have like even like in a group, let's say you have like someone like you're really close with, and you might have someone that like you might not know as well. So when you're making a decision, right? Like sometimes like I feel like people will say yes to you or like agree with you, not because they actually agree with you, especially if they're like kind of on the fence about things, but they will like pick their decision to kind of match or align with yours if they know you well, right?
Right.
So in that case, like, um, let's see. So actually, I can give you an example. So like the other day, like I went to like movie out with friends, and the funniest thing happened. So one of them, he like accidentally like went into like someone else's car. It was really late. All right, I
Wow.
don't blame him. I low-key thought it was like our car as well, and then the other guy, he was trying to like pull him out. Right, he didn't really explain it well. He was pulling it out while the other guy was fighting to put on his seatbelt. And so like when we got to the car, like it was all over, right? Like thankfully the other person didn't get too mad. He just asked if we stole anything, and low key that's a redundant question.
Wow.
Like yes, I stole something. Thank you for asking. You can have it back.
No, it was just miscommunication.
But
So this was this like a park car or someone coming?
yeah, this was in the parking lot.
Oh.
I probably should have mentioned that.
Damn, I'm kind of quite surprised people leave their cars unlocked.
No, they were I think they were watching the same movie we were. So
Oh.
they were also coming back from that. And
Oh.
so we just arrived at the same exact time, and then like he just fucking bawled. Like,
Damn.
it was crazy. But in that case, so when we got into the car, like we had like a little argument. So he was saying that like, oh, you would have reacted that way either way. If I went into the right car, you still would try to fight for the front seat. I know you like the front seat. And so me, like I like to think like I'm kind of like a logical person. I try to not take sides based on who I like suck. You said like suck up to, right? So I'm just like, okay, I believe you. Like, yeah, you couldn't tell. It was dark, and when someone's trying to fight you out of something, and you also on the front seat, you're gonna kind of like try to protect that, right? And given his reaction, you don't know. And then he also mentioned that like, yeah, I would have done that. He admitted it too. But for whatever reason, the last person still agrees that like he should have known. Like, sorry. Oh my goodness, I might have to give these people names.
I'm sure they won't really care. Like, go for it.
All right, sure. So let's go for it. Let's go for it. So like Mark, he was saying that like, oh, I kind of like would have done that anyways, right? And so I sided with Lucas, who's the one that sat in like the front of the car, right? And then last guy, Aiden, he still sided with Mark and said, "Nah, Lucas, you're just wrong." And I'm like, what? Like, how, right? So like, I feel like there's like a bit of a disparity there, where in this case, like, I guess like influencing wise, like given that you have a sibling and you don't like each other, you're gonna tend not to agree with each other, even though like it's still kind of like Lucas admits he was kind of a dumbass that
Right.
night, right? But like it would have been nice for at least us as a collective to agree, like, yeah, it was a bad thing you did, but you know, like it was your reaction was reasonable per se.
Right.
So like I was wondering if you like noticed anything like that as well,
In,
possibly.
in our friend group,
Like not even like friend groups, like maybe at work or like just like
um,
anywhere, man.
sure. Let me think about this in a second. So like, there's like obviously like I would say like this is more, like I can like everyone in a, okay, sorry, I like to observe people, right? So like I feel like observing people is more easier for me to observe people unknown for a while
That's very
than
true.
people I just met, right? So obviously I'm going to bring up something from like a friend group per se because like at work or at school, like there are very rare situations I would see like influence. Like obviously, like your boss has influence over your coworkers,
So that would
and
be
then
like
they
very, very formal like
right,
authority.
right, because it's a structure,
Yeah,
organizational
yeah.
structure, right? And then there's obviously office politics where some people might hate each other because there's some beef or something might happen,
Or someone might
right?
know
Right.
everybody and you
And
can't piss them
it's
off.
not my duty to find out what happened, right? I just
Yeah.
don't want to contribute to the gossip. I'll be like, oh, if someone tells this so and so did this, I'm like, oh, okay, and I'll go on, right? I don't want to like spread rumors or whatever. But in a friend group
Good
per
on
se, like influence type, like I mean, like, there's obviously like been times like where we've encountered this for sure. Like I would say in my high school friend group, like there are some times where you want to like either like go play, go watch a movie, or like even like go to someone's house. It's a good idea. So like let's say like we want to hang out, right? And then like hang out. Hey, you guys are down to hang out next Friday, right? And let's say like there are people like they like to when you like to hang out, we like to go outside and come home in the evening and stay at someone's place, or like if you want, you can even like at least just hang out at someone's house, right?
Yep.
So like for usually like our hangouts, we like to like go places. Like we like to go to the mall, we like to go to a park, play something, like watch a movie, do some bowling, like something that's interactive, easy to do, and engaging, right? So very rarely we like to go to people's houses, but there are like I would say like in our friend group there are some people who are well off and have very good houses, and we would
Yes.
like to go to their places, but like they're very like authoritative. Like let's say like they have like stuff at home, or like not even like authoritative. They're very like
They have like
conservative.
special thing that
Yeah,
you
like
can't get
they're like
everywhere.
like obviously if you, even if you organize it, like they don't like to have us over when their family's around, or
Yep.
like there's some like conflict or whatever, like, but like it would be nice to go to so and so's place, right? It would be nice to like hang out in their pool, or like do like a barbecue, like play some
Yeah.
like table tennis, like whatever, right? But like nowadays, like obviously like I mentioned, we like to stay outside, but back in the day, like sometimes we like to like influence people to come outside with us. Like during COVID, our me and my friend Mega, we used to like go biking around the neighborhood, and we I would say like in our friend group back then, it was like a 4-person friend group. Like right now, it's like probably 8 because the friend group has grown over time. But like back then, like the core members, I would say like me, Mega, Caleb, and Karan, and we would like to like do a lot of stuff outside during COVID. Like we would go outside. We would like to go biking, go on trails, like just enjoy, because like there's nothing as much we could do at home, like otherwise than play games, right, like, all day, right? Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it
No,
was
that's for
locked
sure.
down, everything was closed and whatever. So like one of our friends, Karan, he did not. Okay, like it's not like his parents didn't want him to go outside. He did not want to go outside for some reason. Like he would always like stay
Ooh.
home and like play games. Like he was addicted to Apex Legends, which is like a very big game.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and Megan and Kron like to play Apex together. So like I understand that. I'm more of like an outdoorsy type of guy.
So
Like
he's kind of like a resistor to
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
your ideas
So
and
like
stuff.
there's this like one time like me and Mega were like, hey, we should link up, and then like Kron's like, nah, I'm not coming outside, and then we're like, all right, there's no way this guy's not coming outside because Caleb's coming too, right? So we all pulled up to this guy's house, and we rang the doorbell, and then this guy like came down like in 5 minutes, and then and who opened the door first was actually his dad. He was like, "Hey, how you guys doing? We're doing good."
So
right?
nice.
Yeah. So like, and then we're like, "Is Kron inside?" Like, "Yeah, Kron's inside," and I'll get him right for you. Kron comes down, and then he has this like,
Yo.
we're all like smiling. He's just so disappointed in us. He's
He's
like,
like, "You
"Yo,
guys
like,
made
why did
me
you guys
touch."
come over to my place, man?" And and this is like an example where
Yeah.
exerting influence is a good thing because we're trying to get him to enjoy, like, have some fun with us, right? Like, it's not we're not trying to like take advantage of him and like, hey, like hang out at your place,
And
right?
I think that's like one good thing to point out as well. Like the word influence has such bad connotation. Like for example, influencer, like they're trying to get you to like buy a product or something, or like to be influenced is usually associated with like, oh, you're getting like a bunch of pawns for like some grand scheme, like dark psychology, like spooky
Right.
shit. But like I think in reality, like influence is like it just means like a nice, I guess to put it like briefly, like the understanding of like where your opinions come from, what kind of dictates your thoughts, how you can share your ideas, how you can kind of amplify that for ideally something good. You guys listening as well. Don't influence people to do bad things.
Right.
Ideally,
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Like
it
obviously
doesn't have
you can tie in like peer pressure, like the bad thing, like or like peer pressure into like a big thing for our age is like people get peer pressure to
like
like
vaping and
yeah,
stuff.
vaping or drinking or
Yeah, that's
smoking
true.
weed,
That's
right?
true.
Like obviously like I assume that you've been doing situations where you've been peer pressured. Like I have for sure, but like like coming from like a religious background, I can't really do like drink much. I can't drink or smoke or whatever, right? But like I just like hang around with you guys because for the vibes, you know.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, like when influencing, like it's just like if you're getting peer pressure or being influenced hard, it's also like a standpoint where it's moral to do so, and also like what is like first, like what are you trying to get me to do, right? From that standpoint, and second is the morality, like if it's good or not, and
Yeah.
third is like the willpower to say yes or no, like if it makes sense for you to do it, and then like there's no like consequences or bad things to get out of it, then you might as well go for it, right?
Yeah.
But like if you obviously if you take a no go for you, just say
Yeah.
say the truth, say,
And
yeah, I'm not down for
here's
it.
the thing, like if you're in like I learned about this concept in my class, but if you're in like a psychological safe space where you're surrounded by people that, respect you, treat you well, not only yes men, but it can also be completely honest with you, they will accept the fact that okay, he's like uncomfortable with this, obviously, like okay, if it's a life or death situation, like they might have to force you to do something.
Right,
Like,
right,
yeah,
right.
you're jumping out of that window if the house is on fire, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
But like in most non, as a university put it, excruciating circumstances, like they'll respect your boundary.
100%. Yeah. And did you want to tie into like how like it affects you at work? Like you mentioned like how power influences like I mean, you might have a better experience because like I told you I don't have much to go with.
Yeah, I think one of the main things that I found pretty interesting at work is, like, have you ever been like mentored by someone before?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that role is quite interesting because the interns, like I said previously, I was like exploring like a bunch of different like APIs, pipelines, and so a mentor would probably be kind of in tune with me, right? And so when it comes to actually delivering that information from like my work to the company and seeing how it like gets integrated, and in my first like internship especially, I had no idea how it was going to actually be implemented into the app. He just said, yo, make this backend, make it Python functions, I'll handle the rest, right? So that gives him like, although he takes on more responsibility, down the road he's gonna like help like us both get visibility for it, right? Get it like into the app, and I feel like that kind of gives him like a lot of like power to like say like, okay, let's make the idea this way, and then when sharing it, they can also control like which types of things, like what type of information we want to share, like how like even to some extent like they get to decide how it gets in the final product, right? And so like I think like influence can kind of even go like beyond people sometimes. It can also go beyond to like business decisions, or in like some cases it's like I think like in our group, right? Like if one of us doesn't want to like eat at a specific spot, like depending on who like said it, I believe it would have like a more dramatic effect. For example, you're driving. If you don't want to drive us somewhere, there's like low key nothing we can do, right?
Right,
Like
right.
that's quite a lot of like leverage
Right.
and like yeah, I don't know. Like I'm just kind of
No,
talking out of my ass.
I get what you mean, and I would like to ask you a question. Like, in terms of influence, let's say like in a corporate environment, like obviously like when you work up, you work your way up the organizational workflow from like associate to like a boss to a manager.
Yep.
Like you gain more influence as you go, right?
Yep.
But like in a friend group, like how would you per se like go attaining that influence? Like is it like a thing where you've been with your friend for like a long time, you gain a lot of influence over a period of time, or does it like tie in with trust and respect?
So that's actually quite interesting because I can even like right now, like at least from my perspective, like our friend group, like from high school. I don't know if you're in contact with anyone else, but right now, like you can feel there's like two major groups, right? Like there's a group like surrounding like one person, and there's a group surrounding like one other person, and these two people don't really like talk to each other too much. You kind of get that, right?
Like, are you talking about like a high school friend group? Because I didn't go to the same high school as you went.
Oh, sorry, not high school. Like let's just say like our friend group.
Yeah, since
Like, right
elementary,
now.
right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like that group. Like you kind of see what I mean, right? We have two distinct groups where like there's two people who don't really like interact with each other directly.
Sure.
So I think an interesting part is like when we're like planning things, for example, like you can how do I put this? Shoot, I lost my train of thought. Hold up.
You're good.
It's kind of like, for example, like you know, like Mark, right? He's kind of like in between these two groups, I think. Meanwhile, like, I guess I can start putting people's names in it. Like, meanwhile, like, Stavros and Aiden are more like, I think Stavros wants to get to know you guys better. He even said like he was gonna like ask his parents like for this like upcoming like cottage trip, right? Like he really wants to get to know you guys. But like right now he's kind of like in like let's say group A and group B where we have like you know like Nick, right? So that's the group kind of like surrounds around him because he has quite a lot of like let's say influence over like group the decisions because he's kind of like there to like keep us all like in contact to he plans a lot of activities and I think that's kind of like grown on him at this point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I just want to point that out because in this case, like when there's like certain like decisions being made in these friend groups, for one, if Aiden and Nick, for example, disagree on something, like he might find something boring.
Right.
There, if we were all planning to hang out on something, it would most likely break. Like for example, if we can't decide on a movie, it might break into two groups because of that.
Oh, I see.
So I think that's at least like on a basic level a pretty interesting interaction that I've like noticed.
Or each group just plans their own hangouts.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like to be fair, I haven't hung out with Group A to understand how they operate. Like you mentioned, like I just met Stavros a couple weeks ago. Before then, I didn't know the guy existed. So
Yeah,
so
no
like
worries, no
I mean, he seems
worries.
like a good guy, and obviously I'd like to get to know more of him, right? But obviously I'm gonna stick with the guys I know the most, which is you, Nick, Grant, Mike, Mark, right? So like the people I hang out through elementary and middle school, because those are the people like I've actually like grown up with, you know, ever since grade 5 when I came here to Canada till like grade 8 when we graduated from middle school. Like those like 3-4 years were like pretty good, like pretty like core parts of my childhood, you know? So obviously I'm gonna like hang out with them, prefer to hang out with them more than the people I just met, you know? So I kind of get what you mean.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. And like mentioned like how like in terms of planning, like people really kind of like don't want to take on the chance or take on the role of planning, like because you mentioned like you mentioned in these groups like usually the group leader likes to plan. Is that the case in like in all your friend groups, or is like a collaborative thing that people like to plan together?
So I will say this, university-wise, hold up. So I also have like in my program, industrial engineering, we have like, I like to call like the gaming group because like we all like video games, right? And so like when we're planning out events, I'd say some people have like a bit more dictation on what we do, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because, like for example, one of my friends, he's like he's awesome. He's like finance bro, but in engineering type thing, and he has access to like special clubs.
Okay.
And so, for example, like my first time going to a club was with him and like him, another like friend in my department, and then like two other guys that he knew, and like it was like kind of crazy, and I wouldn't have been able to go there without his help. So like that's like positive influence. He's trying to get me to be exposed to something that like I'm interested in, right? And
Yeah.
so another guy, he like his responsibility is kind of like planning out like hangouts because his apartment is like the closest to campus. So when we kind of go hang out, like I think you can probably piece it
Yeah.
together. Like Aiden's place is also like a hub, right? Like he has like more stuff
To do, yeah.
and more space
Right. 100%.
and a pool, which
Yeah.
is pretty crazy
Yeah.
than like any other like person. Like when he comes to my place, he said like, "Yo, it's like kind of boring."
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"You're not wrong."
I get what you mean, right? Like, obviously, you have those special friends that have who are well off or like are in different places than you are, and you want to
Yeah.
hang out with them more often because like there's stuff to do at their place, you know. Like there could be like a basketball hoop or like a pool or
Yeah.
a barbecue or like a big lawn, you know. There's like a lot of stuff you could do. Obviously, like over the years, like compared to like a chat, like when you start hanging out as kids to teenagers, like there's the stuff you do changes over time, right? So I get what you mean. And like, would you like classify like stuff you do with your friends, like influencing them as informal influence, and like the stuff you influence people at work as formal, or is there a different definition?
It depends on your friend group, to be honest. Like I'd say with like all of you guys, it's relatively informal.
Right.
And that's another like property of like I kind of like dropped in like psychological safe space. You can look into it after if you're interested. But essentially, it's one of the properties of it is to kind of respect people and to create like a more inviting environment. It's like as informal as it gets because you kind of want to bounce ideas off each other. You want to like kind of plan things as it goes, how people are feeling, and not being too concerned with like structure and schedules and like these things. Obviously, you're gonna pick like a time, right? But like you see how like sometimes we schedule things like 1 day, 2 days in advance.
Right.
Like at work, you'll never have that. They'll be like, guys, we have like monthly, quarterly meetings,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and which is actually like not great because it's scheduled and not many people like the fact that it's not based on if they have anything to bring to the table. It's based on, when do we have to like get over this meeting, right?
Right.
So that's another like property. Like scheduled meetings, I've heard at least, it's actually like kind of bad, and it's better to like make your schedule based off of like what's actually needed, right?
Yeah, like I the way I witness the scheduled meetings like in my workplace, like obviously as an organization, like BMO is a very big organization, right? We have like thousands of people, and like we have those like monthly town halls, and there's like
They don't do anything.
yeah, no, it's just like like they used to like do it in person, like at the BMO,
Oh, okay.
like at the BMO place in downtown. But and they still do it in person, but they also do it online. It's like
Most people will
yeah,
come
most people go
online.
online like on Teams, right? But then like as a team, like in your team of 20, like 15 to 20 people,
Yeah.
like we have our own divisions, like we're divided into like our own roles, right? And then like 3 or 4 groups, like let's say per 3 people for like designers, 4 people for developers, 5 people for business analysts,
Yeah.
right? And then so like they like to like work within themselves, like they would have more meetings with each other than with the rest of the team. And then when the team comes together, that's when we have our stand up or when we're presenting something,
Yeah.
our team meeting, like whatever, right? And obviously, like we have informal events, like like dinner at the restaurant or something like that, or playing at go to the Dave and Buster's or something like that. Like just have some communication, teamwork stuff to do, right? A team environment. So like yeah, I kind of get what you mean there, but like in terms of influence, like I think you brought up something about like not brought up, but I want to like point out a fact like you mentioned like authoritative versus relational
Yeah.
influence, and so like what does that mean in a nutshell? Like I kind of like get what you mean in an authoritative, like you're trying to like influence someone just to take advantage of them, I assume.
It's not exactly like that. I would say that's more of like a what was the word? Malicious like
Intent.
intent. Yeah, I wouldn't even call it influence at that point. You're just malicious.
Okay.
But like you're trying to take advantage of someone. But I'd say more so like the authoritative you're thinking is like very like formal. So for example, like if you have a boss, right? They defaultly have more like power than you, right? Because they can influence more of your colleagues. They can influence like what projects go out, who gets to be mentioned in quarterly meetings, who gets to be promoted. That's a big one.
Who gets to get fired?
Yeah, who's getting fired?
Yeah.
What's your salary?
Yeah.
Decided by them. So that's like already a lot. But like from the organizational design course, which I don't know how I didn't point this out, like how I didn't learn this beforehand, but there's also like, or maybe I did know, but it was just kind of in the back of my head. But I realized like if you have like a very strong network or you have like special properties, which I'll get into, you can also be influential without needing to be a boss. So for example, like, do you want to try taking a guess, or like I could also just like mention it if you're curious, but
Sorry, what was the question?
like how do you improve like your influence, or like how do you like kind of like get to know people better, or like get responsibility like without needing to be a boss?
I would assume through trust and respect, but
It's one of them, bro. Yeah, so they call this actually I guess we could just call it like trust and respect. That course has so many terms and I just forgot most of them, but yeah, like if you show people mutual respect, they will show you more mutual respect and therefore will be more willing to listen to you.
like the loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty is another, right? And I guess I can throw another one in here. If you are communicating, let's say you have, I'm going to go with the friend group analogy. Let's say you have two friend groups, right? But none of those people know each other. So, for example, let's say I wanted to hook up you guys with my uni friends, right? And so, me being like the one person that's like kind of knowing both groups, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving you guys like the ability to like, message
Make
each other with,
connections.
or like like have like, let's say we want like one giant like gaming event, or
Right.
two of you guys like the same game, you want to hang out. It will probably go through me first for a while before you two get comfortable enough that you start like scheduling it yourself.
Right.
Kind of like a bridge, right? So that in itself is like a way, like if you have control over information, or you can like kind of the hookup like friends of a friend, that already gives you like
Yeah.
more like
Yeah, but I've been in a place where like you organize events like where you include all your friends. Like for example, like I can give you a great one. Like for my birthday, like my 16th birthday, like we
Yep.
went to like a park, right? And then I invited all my friends. So these are my friends from high school and obviously you guys, right? So like the way I noticed the event went down was like my high school friends. They're like oriented differently. Like they like to do stuff that's more like hands-on, like active, or like they want to like hang out with people they know, right? So and then like the only person they know is me. But then I'm trying to like organize two groups. Like the way the event,
yes.
the way the birthday went, like we were at this
It was
like
like
park.
two different birthdays.
Yeah, and
almost.
then the one group was just playing frisbee, other group was just sitting down and just talking, like, and then
Yeah.
they're not like really engaging with each other except for introductions, right? So like that's when I found out maybe unless it's like something big as a wedding, like maybe it's okay to have two birthdays, like one birthday your friends will celebrate and then another birthday your other friend group will celebrate, that way like everyone's comfortable, because like when you're introducing two people, one group of friends to another, you don't know like what's going to happen.
Here's
right?
the thing though, that really depends on the people though. Like
Right.
for example, like I used to be like that, like I want to be comfortable, right? But more recently I want to like get to know other people, because I think it's like, at least for me, like I think it's fun to learn about someone new and see like, just like who are they, what are they doing, like what do they enjoy, and then kind of like just like, chat with them, right?
Right.
So in that case, like I guess like in our group, because I know like like we're like all one big group, like I can tell like a lot of people like in our group specifically, they don't like to get to know new people. In fact, like even at like when we ate at the Goose, right? Did you notice the table?
Yeah, it was pretty big.
not the table itself, but like, do you notice like where we sat at the table?
Yeah, the back.
Like I like kind of like I noticed that Group A took one side of the table,
Yeah.
Group B took the other side of the
Yeah.
table, and I would say, I guess it was kind of strange that like the people that like I don't know, were,
Yeah,
like
because
this,
because like there's two different conversations. One side would have their own
yeah,
thing, other side would have their own thing, right? And then the occasional like someone says something everyone listens into, right? So,
yes,
I like how you pointed that out. I didn't really observe that at the beginning, but like because like you mentioned, like
yeah.
I only
Actually,
hang out,
courtesy to Lucas, he was
right?
the one who like pointed it out.
Yeah, like because like, I like to like hang out with. I noticed like you guys were on your own thing, and like, to be fair, like I thought it's because like I'm on the other side of the table. I don't want to
No,
like interfere with your conversation because like I can't even hear you guys, right? Because you guys
that's
are like
also
having your
fair,
own
yeah.
conversation, and in order for me to contribute, I gotta yell, right? So I want to be like that guy. I want to engage with people next to me.
Also,
Like
why they like use the round table,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But yeah.
but you know, like you can't have perfect things all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of get what you mean there.
Hmm.
And also like I want to get into another topic. I want to talk about like in our friend group, like in any friend group. Would you say like having someone who can plan good is beneficial to the group, or just like having the group plan it itself?
I think if you want like to do big activities, like for example, you planned that camping trip, right?
Yeah,
We would not have been able to, even though Mark was bashing you for it, but like low key, we would not have been able to go on a camping trip like that if you didn't plan it. We would be like gaming or something. And
yeah,
from my perspective, like a camping trip is like more memorable. We don't do it that often. It's
right,
like a big thing. It was
yeah.
fun. It was, new, got us out of our houses, similar to your friend's Kurup, was it?
Quran.
Oh,
Yeah,
Quran,
yeah,
sorry, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Quran. Like
yeah.
you
You
got
good?
him out of his house. You got us out of our houses. We went to like North Bay. Mark complained it was far. I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
You drove to Niagara Falls, which was crazy,
the
but
uh the logistics of the camping trip was good, and like how you mentioned that like it's a big memorable thing. Like
yeah.
obviously like we have hangouts and we have weekly hangouts. We go to the park. Like that's something you don't need to like plan in advance, and that's something like you just send it into a message of a group chat. Hey, you guys want to come down to link up on Friday at so and so park, right? So like that's just easy. You don't need a lot of planning to that. You don't need to plan
Yeah.
how people are getting there. People know the park. People know the place. It's pretty close to them. It's and everyone knows what we're doing, right? At the most, you'd be like, hey, I'm bringing this. You guys can bring this, and maybe we get some food after, right? That type of planning is something that a group can handle, but versus something like you want to plan like a camping trip, like a once in a year type thing, right?
Yeah.
That's when you have like select few members of the group, or maybe I guess in some situations where everyone wants to contribute, but like if I feel like it's better if
Too many chefs in the kitchen,
yeah,
right?
I feel like it's better to have one or two people plan that out, right? Because obviously for me, like for the camping trip, I had like a vision. Like I wanted. Obviously, it was COVID, right? And
Yeah.
then during COVID, like I'll tell you my story. During COVID, everything was locked down, obviously. So my parents, we didn't want to stay inside much. So we decided to go explore a lot of provincial parks in Ontario, and that's really got me started on my liking of nature because I found myself liking the hikes we were taking and like putting a lot of effort to like walk to find this new view or and just because we live in such a metropolitan area we don't really see that much nature nowadays
That's
near
true.
us, right? You actually have to drive up north to see or drive a
I'd
couple hours to
say
see good stuff.
nature, you can get a lot of nature.
Yeah.
Lakes, you cannot get a lake.
Yeah, yeah. And like in a country as such as diverse as Canada, we have a lot of nature. And like in the east, in Ontario and Quebec, we have a lot of lakes, right? The Great Lakes, and obviously you have a lot of like you have like thousands of lakes in Ontario. Thing is, they're all up north. Like they're not
Yeah.
like near like metropolitan areas like Toronto,
And you can't
Windsor.
swim in Lake Ontario.
Yeah, yeah, you can't even swim. I mean, it's a big ass. You might as well call it a sea, right? It's so big. Like when I envision a lake, I envision a lake that's something like something I can see from one side to the other, right? And then so like that was my vision to like have fun. Like I'd never been camping before. I heard
Wait, wait. You haven't went camping before and you planned the entire camping trip?
yeah.
Dude, that's impressive, man.
Oh,
I did not know about that.
oh, thank you. I mean, well, I guess like wait, sorry. I went camping one time before that, and that was during like like a couple of years after COVID, my high school friend group, we went to like an hour drive up north near Sibal Point, and we camped there for 2 days. Um, that was like a lot of like good memories because like when you're camping, you bring the entire group together and you're forced with like the primitive stuff like build a tent or make a
Primitive
fire.
stuff's a good way
Yeah,
to put it.
make a fire, cook your food, and then there's also fun stuff like going to the beach, swimming, biking, whatever. Right? It just like the vibes are so good, and compared to like a camping trip versus a grad trip, like the grad trip, you just like I want to say the environment is the same because you're used to all the modern stuff like
Yeah.
AC and heat and whatever like TVs and you want to go like only thing that's different is that the people you're around with like, you're just around with your friends, right? And if you change the environment with the same friend group, that's just a different thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
obviously we've seen a lot of success with the planning. The camping trip was a lot of like logistical like turmoil for me because it gave me a lot of headaches because like we ran into a lot of issues with the transportation and the location was good. The location was nice. We could it was the thing is nice location was 4 hours up north.
Yeah.
Right. So getting there as like 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds was a big thing, right? Like we had a group of originally 8 people, about 2 people couldn't make it, so 6, right? So I knew beforehand something like this needed to be planned like at least months ahead because
Yeah.
like in Ontario when you book a campsite, like booking a campsite is a big struggle because people when the wait list opens, people just go in because in Ontario a lot of people like to camp and then spots get
Do
taken
they
up real.
charge you for reservations?
No,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean
probably
yeah, they do charge you for a
Oh.
reservation because you're booking the lot. But like if you cancel, it's a cancellation fee, right? But like
Okay.
there's also like the thing like
That's good at least.
it's first come first serve,
Yeah.
right? So like if you're not up awake, if you're not there on the website
That
booking your
time.
point like a couple months in advance,
Oh my god.
like versus booking it like a week before, yeah, that's not gonna
Yeah, that
happen.
reminds me of U of T, like the badminton courts, bro. They have like a similar thing.
Yeah.
It's like
But
impossible to book, man.
yeah, you gotta book it in advance. So like I knew before I did a lot of research during the winter break. I knew I had to book in advance. I knew we were gonna have an issue with transportation. I already knew the location we wanted to go to, which was that actual park. And because the reason why I picked that location because there's like a nice big hill you gotta walk up an hour
Yeah.
to find like it's a kilometer up high, and you could see a nice view over the lake. And also because you can also rent kayaks, you can rent canoes, you can rent
Yes.
bikes, right? And it's just like so isolated that there's so much stuff you could do, right? So I knew that place was a sweet spot, and I tried to like the first obstacle was the transportation. I talked to my parents, and then we wanted to like originally like find people like our parents
Yeah.
to drive us up there, but like obviously no parents gonna drive us 4 hours up
Yeah,
north and
that's
4 hours
that's
back.
very
It's like 8 hour
it's a
round trip.
feasibility
Yeah.
thing.
So what we did ended up then doing is that can we maybe do like obviously I have a license back then, but my car is not gonna fit like 6 people. It's a small sedan, and we needed a lot of trunk space, right? So like I was like, maybe can we do a rental car? And my parents were like, yeah, we were good with a rental car in Ontario. Like obviously you can rent from Pearson Airport, right? So I looked into that, and
Uh-oh.
the second restriction was the age. I was 20, and then the other one to rent in. If you want to rent in Ontario, you gotta be 21, right? And my birthday was in. Like I was turning 20. I was 19 actually. Like it was like we planned a camping trip after my birthday, right after July 17th, and by that time I would have turned 20, but I was 19. So I couldn't even like I had 2 years to go before renting a car, and I knew we're not like there's no point in delaying a trip 2 years, right? Because of the age
Yeah.
requirement, right? So like I
case
knew
of
I
getting
knew
Uber
like
or
we had to do
something.
it that summer.
Yep.
So like I told my parents like, hey, we gotta find something to do, and then like I did some research. I knew in Quebec you can rent at 18, but the closest rental thing in Quebec is in Montreal, which is a 4 hour drive. So then I was like, oh, I'm really fucked because like Manitoba like is a 22, and like Manitoba is like 20 hours drive up north, not happening, you know. So like I was just thinking out of the box. So like maybe I could try like maybe the U.S. like let's see how because like we're like 2 hours from the border, you know, like we're in Toronto, right? So like 2 hours to Buffalo. Maybe I can try Buffalo, New York State, you know. So I know thank God like in the U.S. federally like renting age is 21, but states have their own renting age. So in Michigan it's 18, New York it's 18, and like and a couple other states were 18, but most were 20. So like what the things about renting a car it's also one of the things is the state requirement, like the legal age requirement there. The second thing is the company policy. So some companies, like rental companies, want people to be 21. Some companies were okay with you being 20, right? So I knew I was going to turn 20, so I booked under but the people who were the companies that were offering renters to be 20 were only a handful, right? And and specifically in Buffalo, like the airport there, they only have one rental company that only allow 20 people, 20 years of age or older, right? So this is our straight shot. So I looked into the website. It all checked out. Um, Obviously, like doing this, like taking action. If I were living by myself, I would have done it. But I needed to consult my parents, right? And my parents
Yeah.
were not fond of the idea. Hey, we gotta drive you 2 hours into a country. Why can't you just do it next year, right? Like it just like so out of our way. And then because it does sound ridiculous at our age, right? To like drive 2 hours to like Niagara Falls to like pick up a car and then drive 2 hours back and then drive 4 hours up north and then 4 hours back and then like drop the car. Like it's just so much stuff, right? And then and then obviously it sounds ridiculous, but I was willing to do it because I wanted to like put some effort and just to make the plan work. Like I gotta back the plan, and I knew if I weren't going to do that, we were not going on the camping trip. So
Yeah.
like I was willing to do that, and then obviously the money came, but money was not a big factor because we knew we were splitting it. But like obviously it was expensive. It was a couple
Yeah.
$100s per person, right? People were not fond of the money part, and
Yeah. I've gotten some. Yeah. Anyways.
yeah, and then like the last part was also like being frank or like being not frank, like sorry, being
Disclose.
disclosing all the information to every single person, right, and their parents, because my parents were not comfortable doing this without the support of other parents. And to be fair, they were in the right spot because, like, to be fair, like they don't even know your guys' parents. Like my parents don't even have connections with, right? So like if something were to happen, maybe up north, like who to call, like something that like if you got into an accident or something bad happened, right? Like if you can't reach your cell phones, my parents would be left in the dark, which is a reasonable request, right? So
Yeah.
I had to like arrange phone calls with your dad, right, with my dad, and then like we did like a contract, and we signed that stuff just to get their appeasement, and like um, eventually like the day came and everything went sweet. Like I woke up at 3 a.m. and we got to be
Shit.
it's
I
fine.
did
Like
not know you woke up that
I woke up
early,
at 3
bro.
a.m. We picked up the car at 5. We came here at 7. I mean, at 9. You were already on the way. Mark's mom decided to come at the end for some reason. I didn't know why she decided to come, but which is fine. We could use the extra help. And
I
then
think she was camping near
yeah,
us.
she was camping near us
How
too.
does she even get a campsite, man?
I don't know, but I mean, like thank
Some
God because we had a
connections,
lot.
bro.
We had a lot of stuff, but we ended up having a lot of memories. Driving up there 4 hours, we did some karaoke. We had some good AC going in our veins.
Yeah.
It was jam packed, but we still had fun, and there were some good memories we would have for a lifetime. Yeah. So that's like sorry, but what was it getting to this? The planning is definitely important. Like for me, like I doing that planning made me very good at planning other events, I would say, per se, and maybe like I had some takeaways to like fine tune my planning process. So like for planning, like nowadays the way I approach planning like an event for sure is that there's like a couple of stages. So the first one is pre-proposal, like where do you want to go, how do you want to get there, what do you want to do, like this is to yourself. You didn't even tell anyone. Like let's say you want to go to like Niagara Falls.
It was like completely
Like
internal.
what do you want to do there, where do you want to go, is it going to fit in everyone's interests, right? Like is it interesting for everyone to like divert time and money to get to there, right? Because like if you want to say I want to go to Japan but no one wants to go to Japan, there's no point. But I knew that in our friend group we would all like to go to camping because we're adventurous type shit, right? So
Type shit.
so there's a pre-proposal stage. You'll do some research, you get some money, like not get some money, like get some information, like how much it's going to cost, right? How to get there, who's going to drive, do we need to make food, like stuff like that. What days will we go? And then the next stage is proposal stage. So like you propose the idea to your friends, and showing you done some research helps in the fact because they seem to like gain your trust, and also like they seem to find myself reliable. Like, hey, I did all the back work, the legwork to get this plan in motion. Let me hear your criticism. Let me hear if you want to do something else. We could do something else, or if you want to like add this to the plan, for sure add this. But if you're all I would not stop until we have everyone,
Yeah.
turn the green light.
Nice.
Right. So because when you have criticism, like we've seen like with our camping trip, if
Well-
if you didn't point out the fact that we need more than one car, then you would have
Yeah.
been screwed, right? Because it would have been like a pyramid on top of our car.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
yeah, so thank God you guys pulled that up, and then also the parents thing. But and then the third stage is the approval stage. So like you find the like everyone signs off the green light. Like if people need to consult with the parents, you get their approval as well. Fine with that. Then you have the follow up stage. So like let's say for camping, you need to buy the equipment, you need to buy the materials, to buy the food, the logs, whatever, right? So like, and then you have to book the flights if you're going to go to Japan or whatever, right? And then finally you have the execution stage. So you just do the plan.
I will say, like, although, like, I guess in this case, like, the criticism was, like, more of a requirement thing, I will say this for sure. Like, if you get criticism in, like, real life about, like, anything you're doing, like, for example, like, this podcast might eventually get criticisms by people, but I like to
has.
think, like, serious already?
No, like at the beginning we have, but it's constructive criticism.
Okay,
There's
constructive
different types of
criticism.
criticism. There's people like,
Yeah.
hey, I hate this idea. Like, why are you doing this? But there's also people like, hey, I like this idea, but you improve on so and
But
so.
I'd like to think that, like, if you do start generating haters, you're going in, like, some right direction. Because, like, people that, like, hate, usually either they're kind of, like, jealous or they don't match with your values. And the
Right.
fact that you're orientated in some way that aligns with your values and that can actually discriminate, now you've created something, like, special, right? It's not just, like, bland content. Like, for example, I could post, like, a black screen, right? Okay, a white screen. And so, like, a white screen, like, no one's gonna say anything about it. It's just a white screen. But, like, there's no, like, reason for me to post it. There's no, like, people with conflicting ideals for a white
Right.
screen. It's just kind of boring, right? And so I like to think, like, you can. I heard this in another video, but, like, someone said, like, you can collect haters like a currency. Like, the more haters you have, okay, obviously there's, like, some extent of that. Like, make content that's, like, not like
Bias.
rage bait.
Okay.
But, like, and that too, yeah. But, like, if you're getting haters, like, naturally, it's, like, a good sign that you're actually doing something that matters.
Yeah.
And so, like, now more recently, like, with the concept of, like, long-term planning, right? So my family has been, like, planning, like, a trip to, like, China, and it's gonna be, like, in around, like, a year from now. And now, like, given that, like, I'm kind of, like, orientated myself to, potentially understanding, like, the language better before I go, because I really want to, like, actually fully, like, experience, like, what China's actually like.
Yeah, contribute to discussions, being part of the crowd.
Yeah, and you can't get that, like, if you don't have an understanding of the language. And
Yeah.
so I did something, like, a little ballsy. Like, I kind of live by this motto. It's a new motto I developed, but, like, it's kind of, or I forgot where I got it from. Who cares? So it goes something like this. It's like, if you don't start, like, today, right? Unless there's, like, any excruciating circumstances, obviously, then you're never going to start. Because today just becomes, like, tomorrow, right? And then tomorrow is, like, the next today. And because you chose today to not start it, what's going to convince you tomorrow to start it? And it's the reason I hate New Year's resolutions, because this day is just a time around the sun. Like, unless, like, you really want to, like, budget it, like, oh, I know I'm going to be on, for example, profs. They're on 10-year, right? I'll have more time then, so it'll be easier for me to start something. But, like, I did the opposite approach. So, like, during, like, exam season, right? Everything's more exciting then, right? You watch a movie, it's like, whoa, this is so much better. So I decided to look into, like, a new, look into, like, how I could actually acquire the language during, like, exam season. So I was setting up, like, my own custom, like, Anki deck. I had, like, an Excel sheet popped up with, like, all of, like, the characters I'd have to learn, all of the words I would have to learn. I set up, like, this. I even wrote, like, some freaking, like, Python script so I can add flashcards faster to my, like, customized deck.
Wow.
Because like, I could send some videos on this, like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
anyone's interested. But, like, I just, like, kind of took the method from Mandarin Blueprint. I tried their, like, light version. I realized it was too expensive for me, and, like, it's like they're selling a course for, like a $2,000.
Wow.
It's, like, crazy. They have like tutoring, but I'm like, I have like native
Yeah.
Chinese.
They say the
tutoring, so-
best way to learn a language is to talk to people with the language, right? Like if
Yeah.
you're learning through an app or a digital platform, it's best to learn the basics. But actually conversing, like learning the accents and all the connotations,
Yeah,
it's best to
definitely.
do it in person with another Chinese
But
speaker, right?
you also have to be careful with that because that only comes after you have like a strong foundation. And like
Yes.
with me learning from like apps like Duolingo in the past, like I can parrot a bunch of phrases. But like when it comes to like other phrases or like other things, like other words, other like character blocks, I just had like no idea because I was only taught like, yo, just know this sentence. You know each word. You don't know what the components in the words means. You can't read that quickly, or you can only read very common characters because you've just been learning the
Right.
pronunciation, for example. And so I think that also plays a part. Like it has to like I was like a bit confused about it at first, but I realized like I mean later is better than never, but like you need to build up that like character structure to actually make like because Chinese like each word, a lot of words are built off two characters, and so you can have character A B with B, you can have character A with C,
Yeah.
D
Yeah.
E F G. You reverse it,
It's
and
better
then
thing.
like now it's a whole nother set of characters, right?
Right.
So like understanding what each like fundamental block means, its components. Radicals can be helpful for pronunciation, but just like knowing and recognizing like individual components in a character can really like help you deepen
Yeah.
understanding past just parroting.
And like I said, like I mentioned, like you talking with people, like it's also it also depends on the nature of the person. Like obviously, when you're talking to the parents, they will support you when you make a mistake. Like, hey, they'll correct you. Hey, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
This is the actual right way to say it, right? But also when you're in a like, let's say you're a foreigner and you're going to China and you're ordering like a restaurant at a restaurant, right? For dinner,
Yeah.
and you try your best in Mandarin, people would actually say like you might think people will say that they're taking offense because you're mispronunciation their language, but there's also most people will actually support you to
Yeah.
taking the initiative to like speak their language, right? It's actually a friendly thing, right? Just like you're showing them that you're interested in their culture, their ideals, and you want to participate in that. And there's no reason for them to like back you down from that initiative, right?
Yeah.
So like this,
Unless they're a jerk. You know?
yeah, but like
But, like,
people are nice nowadays, like it just like when you start showing interest in other people's culture or interests, then they're more likely to help support you.
and then the last part is just like I just feel kind of bad that like I'm like ethnically Chinese. I don't know the
Yeah,
language that well,
same
so
boat here. I'm in the same boat.
it's something that like I really wanted to address.
Yeah.
Part of the reason like I hate like social like I just don't like social media that much. Like if like I want to talk to someone, I just talk to them. Like ideally in person through messages, maybe like a phone call.
Yeah.
But like I don't like the concept of like, oh, I'm just like posting about my day. I'm gonna post a highlight, right?
Right.
And then like then people will like feel jealous. And then that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I think that's covered enough on
Yeah, but yeah,
YouTube and stuff. But,
I appreciate you sharing the insight with you. But yeah, I think that we had a good conversation so far. I really appreciate you showing this side of yourself, and I learned a
Yeah.
lot from this 2 hour, like maybe close to 2 hour session. You brought up a whole lot of interesting topics, and
you too,
I
man.
can't wait to see that in the post production process, editing.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're interested, I can show you some techniques and what
Oh,
software
dude,
I
that'd be
use
sick, man.
when I used to edit this, when I put everything together, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
like in theory, this is how pieces of the puzzle we created the pieces. Now it's up to me to like put it together and show the internet the published version.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for having me to
Yeah,
your house, Sean. I really
course, man.
appreciate you having here, and see how hope that we can go from here and learn more about each other in person.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much.